Morning all, how are we all doing? Happy Tuesday. Come on, Chair, get in the right place. How are we doing? Morning in, Christian, Amy. Don't forget to like everybody. Hang on, let's wait. There's only 22 people in here. Let's wait till we've got more and then we'll ask them to put their thumbs up. Morning, Peter, Yoko, Kennelly, Gregors, Evil, Aggie, how are we doing? We've had some news this morning, lots of news from Japan. So lots of yen movement, as you can see. We'll have a look at all of that in a minute because there's a lot of it. He's still talking, actually, I think. Might not be, but I'll have a look in a minute. But yeah, lots of yen movement. Morning, Senji. Top 10. Morning, JC. Excuse me. Still got this cough. Cannot get rid of it. So, news-wise this morning, let's cover that first before the market gets going. We've had the policy rate as expected, so they gave us a 0.1. Morning, Evans. So that's kind of what we were expecting. Market basically had a little bit of a rally off of it, and it's just had a little bit of a drop. Now it's pulling back a little bit, so not quite sure. We need to digest the news basically, but the press conference is ongoing now, or I'm not sure if it is still ongoing, but we've had quite a lot of information come out in the press conference, which we'll have to go and have a look through. There's no other news today. We've got Richmond this afternoon, but that doesn't tend to do anything. And this evening, we've got the inflation figures for New Zealand, which is forecast for inflation to be coming down by 0.5, basically. So that we will have some movement on the Australian, the New Zealand dollar pairs overnight. So you need to be aware of that. But other than the Bank of Japan stuff today, there is no news apart from the first day of earnings fortnight, which kicks off today. So pre-market today, we've got 3M, General Electric, Johnson and Procter and Verizon. And then after market, we've got Netflix and Visa are the big ones after market. So all of these have potential to move the indices, the US indices during the Globex session and obviously at the open. So we just need to be aware of that. They're big names, obviously, but they're not the big names in the top sort of 10. So, so that's the forecast news. We've got 5 minutes to go. So basically, the forecast for CPI going into 2025 for inflation for Japan is 1.8 versus 1.7 in October. So they're forecasting that inflation is going to be slightly higher next year than they were forecasting. That's the forecast for 2024, 2.4 versus 2.8. So they're forecasting CPI this year to be lower, inflation to be lower. The reason I'm talking about this is because it's important, because they've released a statement saying that they will adjust their interest rates when inflation, or depending on what happens with inflation. So they're looking for the 2% target, which is what every country looks for. That is a healthy economic target, 2%. You're constantly growing your GDP. Everybody can afford to live. Wages are stable. Unemployment is stable. 2% is where you want it to stick and never, ever move from if you can. That's the whole balancing act that we play. So they're forecasting 2.4 at some point this year. That was their rate decision. And then the other bits and pieces from the report, there was nothing particularly exciting in there. So they're continuing their quantitative easing, bond purchases, all the usual stuff that they do. So this is where the press conference started. So probability of reaching 2% inflation target is increasing steadily. So they're saying that we are getting closer to the point where we're getting to that target. When we get to that target, we will increase interest rates. So as we said last year, they came out last year, guns blazing, saying we're going to drop the interest rate. We're going to increase the interest rate to 0. And then they were talking about January, and all of a sudden everyone was like, what? And then we had a big spike in the end, and then everyone went, actually, no, that's not realistic. So this is basically confirming that, yes, we are going to be looking at an interest rate getting back to 0 for the first time in 7 years for the yen, but they're not sure when. load of waffle, more waffle. Oh, hang on. I thought there was more waffle than that. I thought there was more impactful news than that. Maybe not. Okay. There was something I read in there that I thought was impactful. Obviously, they didn't. There we go. Ending negative interest rates policy when 2% inflation is achieved. Yeah. So this is the key bit as far as I'm concerned. I don't know why this isn't red. Inflation target should not be modified so easily. 2%. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Hiking rate before 2% target is a risk of deflation. So basically what they're saying is we want that 2% before we increase interest rates. But if it looks like we're going to hit that 2% pretty easily, we want to increase our interest rates sooner because we don't want to get there too fast and risk deflation, which is where you drop below the 2% target and everything starts to contract, your GDP, etc., etc. So it's all bullish, everything that has been said by Ueda this morning for the yen. And as you can see, we've got 3 minutes to the open. We had a big spike when he started announcing all of this. So the market's like, brilliant. Interest rates going up to 0, inflation coming down to 2%. They're getting into the rest of the world economy, which is what we all do in the rest of the world, apart from the Japanese. They're the only people that do not use interest rates for controlling inflation. Yeah, so their interest rate is negative 0.1, has been for 7 years. They use bond purchases and other means to control it. We all use, obviously, interest rates to control our inflation. But as you can see, their target is at 2.6. They, apart from the Swiss, who never get anything wrong, they are doing the best out of everybody with inflation. So it's one of those things where their GDP drops as a result of it, but they are doing better. So we're down to 2.6. If we get another big decline on this on the next CPI number, so if we start getting to the 2.4s and things, it's really going to put pressure on them to put that back up to 0. That is going to scream down. Everything against the yen is going to scream down. The yen's going to power up massively. So it's all good news. It's whether or not the market decides now to start rolling into that yen or whether they're not sure yet is the time, and we'll see continued decreasing in the yen. So the next few hours today are going to be critical and going into the US session. We've obviously had the initial move, which is bullish. We're pulling back on that. So we're looking to see what happens in the next 2 hours. So looks good for the yen. All good. Market's about to open. 30 seconds. We've got a big rally going on at the moment. Excuse me. We're just coming into a double top from the Friday high, which bumped into that 2-week monthly level, which is just flying through at the moment, so irrelevant. DAX and Footsie yesterday, both hedged, both got out nicely. S&P I couldn't get out of yesterday, so the only trade I took yesterday afternoon was the S&P. That was a hedge loss. Couldn't get out of the S&P. It just basically hedged on that candle, which was literally just about the maximum range I would trade 20% of ADR. And this is why I don't trade those ranges any higher than that, because that tends to be what you get. If they put all the volume in there, by the time they've done some trading, that there's just nothing left. So typically when you get these big opens, you just don't get any movement after. So there was no exit yesterday. You could have taken a bounce down there and got out. You could have taken a bounce there and got out. But I mean, you were pretty much had to be luck yesterday. So no joy in the S&P. Right, market's open, long on the DAX. No trades on Footsie this morning. Range is too small, below 10% of the average daily range on the pre-market. So no trades there. DAX, I'm in, but doesn't seem to be a massive amount of volume coming through just yet anyway. So we're a minute in, we've just, excuse me, put in less than 10% of ADR again. So upsides and downsides today. For the upside target, very nice today. Look at that. 2R takes me up to last week's high. 5R takes me up to the previous week's high. So textbook kind of head and shoulders pattern there. Right shoulder resistance is last week's high, and head resistance is 2-week high. So if we get breaks along, very easy, straight up. If we get hedged, well, if I get hedged, I'll be looking at yesterday's low as a target, which is just before ADR. Failing that, 150 ADR is the previous day's low. So loads of room to the downside for a nice 5-hour run on the DAX if it drops. Footsie, we are stalled out now, day 4 of going nowhere. We are ever so slightly bullish, but this is kind of like we've had a 3-day drop and a 4-day flag. So this is like the longest flag in the world ever. If we break to the upside, there's a lot of places you could stop at, but obviously that weekly low, which we butted into there, and then we broke it and retested it twice. That is the obvious spot for upside target today, which is 125 ADR. So it's going to need to do a hell of a run. It's not going to. It looks like it's going to be a drop at the moment, but we'll wait. Give it 5 minutes. So yeah. FX wise, obviously, there's a lot of movement on the yens this morning. ADRs across the board, all yen pairs extended apart from the Aussie. What's happened with the Aussie then? The Aussie rallied before the news came in, so that's done like 95% of its average daily range up and then 95% of its average daily range down. So not quite hit ADR. With these ADRs today, you'd have struggled. I think, oh no, some of them, they're downside hits on the ends, aren't they? That, yeah, see, that's an ADR hit to the upside, because we had this on the news this morning when we had the rate announcement come out as expected. The yen dropped. So the yen, everything rallied against the yen. That was an ADR hit to the upside. So you would have, if you were trading ADR reversals, you'd have gotten short on that here. So you'd have had round about a third of an ADR reversal alert there, and you'd be short on it. CAD yen, you didn't quite hit it there. So that was your reversal. Again, you're never going to get into it. It's just not possible to get in because it's a news event. There is no bull candle. There is no bulls in a news event. It's just one-way traffic, isn't it? So you wouldn't have got into that one. Euro yen, same story. Can't get into it. Pound yen, same. You're not getting into any of these. New Zealand dollar yen. Excuse me. Yeah, same thing. US dollar yen, same. So yeah, no trades. The only one you could have got into today was that. Which one did I just look at? Aussie dollar yen? No. First one, wasn't it? CAD yen? No. Swiss yen. Swiss yen? Which one did I look at that hit ADR? Yes. That one just about hit ADR as well. Look, 111? No, it didn't quite. Anyway. Can't get there. A load of rubbish today, the ADRs, because it's news. RSIs, there's nothing. Totally flat. So all of these moves that we've had are all either reversing and mean reverting, or they are sort of going into an accumulation. Obviously, RSIs are dropping out on them. So the only thing we've got at the moment is this Aussie New Zealand on the 4-hour, which is still extended. That is just about to come out of extension. Look at the divergence on that. Look at that. Totally flat RSI at 75. Huge bull run up into resistance. So for anybody that comes in here regularly, 76 of you who haven't hit the thumbs up button yet, by the way, forget. We had 99 in here yesterday, or 98. I'd like to get it over 100. It'd be nice, wouldn't it? But I need your thumbs. Support resistance. It's not a coincidence. Yeah, lovely run up into resistance there. I think somebody posted that in the Telegram group, didn't they, yesterday? How New Zealand someone posted. Strong resistance here in the 2-month high. Yeah. So we've got this triple top, which we tapped into this morning. Well, we didn't quite get there. When we got this is the thing about support resistance. The video on the website that I show on YouTube about drawing support and resistance shows you to do it like that, and that's the reason. Yeah. So if you take the high and the low, or the high point that you're looking at, yeah, and you just like draw an equidistant box around that level. See how we hit that high there. We hit it almost to the pip there, and then we pushed up. We missed it by a little bit. Then we missed it by a little bit again. Now we've pushed up. We've missed it by a little bit again. That is a valid resistance bounce. It's an area. It's not a level. They do not necessarily buy from the same price point. They're hitting that area, and they will scale in from that area. They're not going to stick one order there for 25 million. They're going to stick, and that's why they call them icebergs, an iceberg order around that area that you will hit, and you won't get through it. It's rough. So nice looking bounce there. We've got a lovely big drop on this. There's no real profit take move on this pound New Zealand move. It's been like accumulation, push, weird accumulation, push. They have not pulled back, like a proper pullback on this. We haven't had a pullback on it. So looks good, that pound New Zealand. I'm already in it because it was an H1M5 mean reversion from there. That was my entry on it, the first entry. So I'm already short. Target back to the origin of that move there, which is in that propulsion gap. But, you know, we could easily come and do a 71 and retracement on that. Much bigger. Thanks for subscribing, people. Mark, Praveen, welcome aboard. Always good to have thumbs and subscribers. I can't remember who I haven't said hello to. Day Trader, Virginia, Lunary, Meh, Agosa, Novelty, Martin, Mark, All Street Trader. I like the way you trade. I like the way you trade. Good. Okay, short on the FTSE off the 5-minute ORB. So the FTSE pre-market range was too tight. 5-minute ORB short. Excuse me. Target down in the accumulation pre-market. So basically, we got a gap fill situation here. So this is where we closed. So we're looking to come and close that gap. Pre-market is an hour before, really. So that's dropping nicely, which means the DAX will probably hedge. Where did that go? Minimize, I said. So the DAX, if the FTSE does go on a massive run to the downside, that will probably drag the DAX down with it, which means we'll probably hedge the DAX. And the DAX is also a gap fill, look. I like the way you trade. It's interesting because I trade completely differently with tight stop loss, and all my trades go for, I go for a 5R and 6.5R, but I only get one entry a week. There ain't. Looking at Aussie dollar yen. Missed it. It's already gone. Our job here is to like the stream every day. Yes, that is your job. Have you done your job today? Hopefully. I'm going to check up on you all. Don't believe you. Should be a minimum of 35. 44. Good job. Good job. That still means there's 30 odd people that don't like me, which is fine. You don't have to like me. You just have to listen to me. Right. Excuse me. God, I've got to get rid of this cough. It's driving me nuts. DAX is pulling back. DAX is dropping just below the pre-market 10, which I'm trading today, 10.15. So going to hedge on the DAX. So hopefully we get the flush on the FTSE, and then I can deal with the DAX hedge. But if that wants to rally and that wants to hedge, I don't mind. As long as one of them goes, I don't care. Just make your mind up. So didn't bank anything yesterday on H1M5. There's a lot in profit. Drawdowns under control. Main problem, the only problems really for me are the pound yen and the US yen. at the moment, and obviously they're coming down nicely off the back of the yen news, which is good. So pound New Zealand's the only other thing that's starting. It's only 1.5%. It's not a problem. It's just oh, there you go. It's the one we were just looking at, wasn't it? Coming out of resistance. So yeah, hopefully that reversal holds, and we just get a retest drop on that, and we come back down into propulsion. But I haven't managed to bank anything on that yesterday, so hopefully get something banked today. Excuse me. The aggressive drawdown control position I had on this, just for anybody wondering, nobody's asked, so I'll explain anyway. So overnight, excuse me, if you remember yesterday, I had the aggressive taken on Friday. Yesterday, I moved it to break even as we pushed down. So actually on Friday, I moved it to break even. We went absolutely nowhere yesterday because we were waiting for the yen news. So I had the break even there. Before I went to bed last night, I moved my stop back up above that high, basically because I didn't want to get whipsawed on the news. So as you can see, it was the right decision to make because they pushed up, double topped, and then we've had the news which has dropped us back down again. So I would have got taken out on that aggressive if I didn't move it above there. So I moved the loss, or rather the risk, from 0 to about 0.5%. And obviously now we're back down here. I'm just going to wait for this candle. If this candle closes back down at ADR, I'm going to move that back down into break-even mode again. I'm just worried about some whipsaws today off the back of this news and some big orders coming in, which is going to just drive the market a little bit crazy today. But hopefully we just get a continuation push on the yens. Then that will come back down into break-even again. So nothing banked there. ADR reversals, nothing managed to bank yesterday on these. I've got CAD Swiss, which is bankable now. That got pretty close to target, didn't it? Jeez. What am I going to do with that? You can hear my brain ticking, can't you? I'm toying with the idea of just closing out that top position and banking that. And then hoping that this propulsion gap holds and drives us down for another leg. I'm worried about this, which is why my TPs are there. But failing that, we've got a little area there, and then we're coming back down into this. So this is your main resistance turned support, that area there. So that would be the target 125 ADR, which gets all three of those positions then into profit. So I'm going to do that just in case, because this Swiss franc at the moment is quite weak. We've got no news today, but we have got the Swiss potentially powering off the back of the Euro PMI figures tomorrow. So I'm just going to close that one, just stick that in the bank, and then I'm going to move my TPs down. Assume that we're going to get further down and put in a bit of a 50% retracement on that leg. So banked on the CAD Swiss. Nothing else really getting anywhere on that. Pound yen, I got loads of profit on. Spread. Got two positions really close together there. That's spread. Broker spread basically on the swap. There, look. So I got entered there on the swap. Price would have been up there somewhere. So that was the measurement, but that was the entry that I got with a broker. That's coming down really nicely. So I'm going to stick with the target on that, leave it running. New Zealand dollar CAD. And New Zealand, need to look at that. That's the one that's coming out of resistance. That's okay. New Zealand dollar. So nothing else to bank there on ADRs. So bank 0.71. Hedging. Go with 175 ADR. It's about 160 ADR. So I'm looking at that high, which was retested to this propulsion gap here. So we're just testing this propulsion move here. But this one here is the one that broke that high. So that, to me, is the most important propulsion gap. They retested that as well and definitely brought it back up again. They almost completed it. Look. So I'm looking for them to come and retest this area again, which is basically that support resistance bounce, if the yen doesn't power up. We've got news for the Canadian dollar on Thursday. So when the interest rates are announced on Thursday for the Canadian dollar, the US dollar is either going to power up or dump. So if we can get down to there either today or tomorrow, I'll get out of that US dollar yen and just bank that one. I've already banked 0.2 today. Banked 1.5% yesterday. What have I banked today? US dollar Swiss. So yeah, bank US dollar Swiss this morning. I must have been half asleep because I would have done that from my bed. Or did I set target there? Oh, I don't know. Anyway, banked US dollar Swiss this morning. I don't know. So yeah, so that's all doing all right. So 4.3%, 4.4% so far this month on hedging, 4% on ADR reversals, and 3% on H1. So 4, 8, 10 and a bit. Tough month so far. Right, hedged on the DAX. So let's look at downside targets on the DAX. Mess that DAX is. Okay, so downside targets on the DAX. Obviously, gap fill is first stop. So potentially watch for a bounce out the gap fill at the close of yesterday. A bit easier to see probably on M15, isn't it? So there's your gap fill play, which is, oh, that's from the previous day. Oh, we've already done that gap. Wake up, Lee. Okay, so that's your gap fill on the DAX to the downside. So there's a potential bounce point there. If this thing screams down really quick into that level, just draw that on. If it screams down really fast into that level, we might well get a bounce back out of that. Failing that, yesterday's low, really. So the bottom of that propulsion gap is, I mean, anywhere down here, but that is 5R to the downside on the initial range. So pretty good place to get out. It's not far off the low of yesterday, and then we're approaching ADR. So we've got that close from Friday, and obviously Friday's high coming up as well. So there is another spot there. So there's obviously there's 3 areas where we might get a price reaction. Close of yesterday, high of the day before, where banks and institutions buy highs and lows. And then obviously we're coming down into yesterday's low area, but I'll leave it at 5R to the downside. If this thing comes down like a, you know, if we suddenly put a bear candle in like that, yep, I will probably get out the way and move back down further. So I'll monitor it, but I don't want to get in front of a steam train if we're going to get one of those. Bear in mind it's earnings fortnight kicking off today. So keep your eyes peeled on Financial Juice. Financial Juice will, if you have stocks turned on in your settings, so if you go into your settings and you've got earnings news turned on in CNBC, that will give you the earnings reports as they're released. So you can see what's coming out, whether it's good or bad, you know, obviously isn't as important, but it's timing and when things are coming in. So if we suddenly see, you know, 2 hours of solid selling and we've had earnings, you probably want to get out the way because you might be easily putting in a 100, 125 ADR day, probably a little bit more. But there we go. So that's downside target on the DAX. Footsie haven't hit yet. Obviously, Footsie, assuming we're going to hit the 2R target, 5R is basically yesterday's low. So perfect. Previous day's low is basically ADR. So previous day's low is just beyond ADR. Yesterday's low is just before ADR. So ADR as a downside target is good for a bounce. Come on, yen. In Germany, we say everybody's darling is everybody's dep, which means douchebag. Thanks for that, Amy. That was really random, but anyway. Would your new position trading EA have gotten into some of those extensions that the MRA EA didn't get into? What, on ADRs? Depends how you set it up. But so the CAD yen, yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, it could. This is the thing it could do. So I want to keep the reversal alert in there as an option, but I'm going to change the logic on it. So at the moment with the market reversal alert indicator, the logic is not just, as you will have seen if you've used it, the logic is not just every time we make a high, we put a box on the chart. The market has to have either moved through time or distance a certain amount before we start looking for a reversal. Because what it will stop happening is, I had to do that because what you find if you just every time you make a new high, if you put support rectangle on, what you end up doing is having reverse alert, reverse alert, reverse alert, reverse alert, reverse. If you're ranging of any, doesn't matter how big the range is either. If you are in a range bound market, you just get alert after alert after alert after alert, and there's hundreds of thousands of false signals. So I had to build a logic in there to say, if we're in a range, don't just keep drawing rectangles. Yeah. Wait for either some time to have passed and we know that the range is getting on a bit, or wait until we've moved out of or towards an extreme of the range and then start looking for alerts. So what I'm going to do with the new EA is probably build a logic in which is basically, yeah, every time we make a low, let's look for a reversal off of the last bull move. But only look at triggering that if we have crossed below the level where the next trade should be taken. Yeah. Which kind of will replicate that logic anyway, because if you're using something like half to 1 ADR after you go long for your next entry, that movement will have triggered the market reversal alert CA to work anyway. But I can simplify the logic using distance of ADR from the previous entry. So I want to leave that in there. But yeah, there's going to be an MA trigger, and I'm going to build a price action trigger in as well. So I'm going to build some really basic price action candlestick pattern triggers in, like hammers. If we've dropped, we get a hammer. Let's have a go. Or a bullish engulfing. You know, just the normal unreliable price action candlestick patterns. I probably won't use these, but I know people will want to. And they are good to use at support resistance levels. But the main ones for me will be to use a moving average or the reversal alert for a signal. But either or. Yeah, if we're in this situation, go, right, well, that's not going to trigger, is it? So let's use the MA instead. Yeah, so we can have that as an option. And the other thing obviously we'll build in is something like a 3-bar reversal, I would imagine. But these are more reliable on higher time frames, not lower time frames. Lower time frames, you'll see 3-bar reversals all over the place, but they're not anywhere near as reliable. Saying that there's one there. But you know, they're not as reliable on smaller time frames. But yeah, it would have got in somewhere around here. That's a nice saying. Next time I go to Germany, I will say that out loud at a bad time. Yes. I'm always worried about saying anything in a foreign language in a foreign country. You know it's not going to be right. Afternoon, morning even, Astro. We don't trade pivots in here, Wall Street. You want to use pivots? Go ahead. Weird Dad, good day. Nice, mate. We've got 94 people in here. Can we have some more thumbs up? And then I'll do some more accents. That sounds great. Mark? Yep. H1 Bollinger Band entry would be cool. ADR to space the entries. Yeah. I want to make it as flexible as possible, but I also do not want to overload it. Don't do that to me, Footsie. Closing the Footsie. Just in case. I'm not having that. It basically came straight off the top of that propulsion move, look, and missed my TP by a pip. So I'm out, Footsie. First position, break even, trailing second. That was too close. It probably will hit it. High probability it will hit it after a flush like that. But also, I'm not having that. So I will take it. So yeah, off, out on the Footsie. This isn't stopping this morning, is it? So we got a bit of a flush on the go. This could potentially be money coming out of stocks to buy the yen today off the back of Ueda's announcement. So keep an eye on this yen for strength. What's the euro doing today? Yeah, we're rallying the euro. I'd imagine the pound is rallying as well, yeah. So euro and pound rallying, which is obviously why the stock market's coming down, because it does the inverse to the currency. So, or rather the currency does the inverse to the stock market, whichever way you want to look at it. There we go. So straight through to our target. Nice, clean, easy break today on the 5-minute ORB on the Footsie. If you did take that pre-market range, which you shouldn't have because it was way too tight, you would have got hedged. So if you are hedged on the Footsie, downside targets, as I said, yesterday's low and previous day's low for a bounce out of there. Upside target is very, very, very hard today on the Footsie. So glad that was a clean break today. See, I was contemplating yesterday dropping the Footsie, and then the Footsie gives you things like that, and you just go, oh, shall I let you carry on? But my P&L on the Footsie is negative so far this month, and but it is only the first month, so maybe I'll give it a little bit longer. I don't know. 3.5 hour exit for Dax Hedge shorts. You could try that low, yeah. So, I mean, there is a low coming up here. I mean, if it steamrollers into this, the thing is, you got to, you know, there's one saying from one of my mentors that really stuck in my head was, do not stand in front of a moving steam train, or freight train, as he called it, because he was American. I don't know why I said steam train, because we don't have them anymore. But anyway, don't stand in front of a train. That's a train. So the market is giving you absolutely no reason to get out. But if you get there and you see a bounce, yes, that could well trigger a pullback. But right now, I wouldn't put a TP there because your TP could well just get hit while the market's doing that. There's no point in getting out while the market's dropping like a steam train, freight train, bullet train. Let's use Japanese, bullet train. That's faster. But, you know, if you get a tweezer bottom and then all of a sudden we put a bull candle in at that level, use a level. Don't just get out because it's starting to look like it's rallying. But if you get that sort of price action building down there, then yeah. But wait for this thing to slow. It's not even slowed. If it starts to go sideways for 15 minutes, you know that we've run out of sellers for the moment. the odds are still the same as to which way it's going to go next. But yeah, so there's a good level there. Somewhere around there. Basically these lows, all these wicks from yesterday. So this is New York open and then New York doldrums, which is pretty much the entire session yesterday. So the entire session was just propped up off that level yesterday. But we didn't really buy with any, strength from that. That was just an area where we stopped and the algos took over because there was no speculative trading. So, but watch that level. That would be much better. Yesterday's low. I mean, the speed this is coming down. About a third of an ADR we've got to go to 5R target. So we'll see. It's not stopping at the moment. Looking like it's pausing. Got 2.5 minutes left on this candle, though. This is why you wait for candle close. Always, always wait for candle close. Right now, it's a doji, equilibrium between buyers and sellers. Right now. But if this candle closes like that, you're going to really wish you hadn't have shut it. So wait for the candle to close. Wait to see who is actually in control still. Can you give us a Yorkshire accent? Don't think so. E-by gum? No, I don't do Yorkshire. Yorkshire's a really hard accent. If you're not from Yorkshire, Yorkshire's actually really hard to do. I'm not very good at accents. I just happen to be able to do an Australian one. But it's only if you're using shrimps, barbies, beer, stuff like that, the usual stuff. DAX, 3-bar reversal on the hourly. No. It's just a bearish engulfing. 3-bar reversal is a 3-candle pattern where you have a push, pause, and a pull. And the pause could be either a doji or a shooting star if it's bearish. A hammer if it's bullish. So it's basically the market pushing, sellers in buyers in control. Yeah. Buyers try to retain control. Sellers try to take control. No one wins. Sellers take control. Yeah. So it's basically the peak of a drop. There's one there, look. So drop, pause, push, off. Yeah. So it doesn't have to be a whacking great candle. It's never going to be. That is the perfect 3-bar reversal. Yeah. We push down hard. We close at the low. From that low, we don't go anywhere. We don't go anywhere. We stay where we are. We open and we rally like crazy and we close at the high. Yeah. So sellers massively in control. Absolutely no one in control. Buyers fully in control. Off you go. But it doesn't work like that. Look. This was a shooting star, doji, hammer. Yeah. Just because that candle didn't look like that doesn't mean it's not a 3-bar reversal. It's the bears strongly in control. No one. Bulls strongly in control. That is just a bearish reversal. Bears in control. Still a good, this is still a very, very good price action. It's obvious who's taken control in the last hour. If they continue to take control, obviously we'll drop. I did not get into the UK 100. Same problem as with you yesterday. Zero divide. Don't know. It's a calculation issue. It's caused by slow brokers or lack of data. Or opening your chart too late and putting it on too late. I honestly don't know what that error is. I really don't. I don't really get it. Yesterday was the first time I'd had it, and it's because I opened up charts fresh, and put the EA on there without loading any data. But I don't know. It's your broker then. Yeah, if you've got a different broker with different price action, yes, you might see a 3-bar reversal. Trade your charts, not mine. Eop me duck. Yeah, Harold, that's a good one. Eop duck. Want to go to bingo? No, that's crap. That was really, really bad. Hopefully there's no Yorkshireman in here. Before you just drew a Japanese word, did I? It was that. What did I say? Hopefully I didn't say anything rude. Seriously, RSI? What about RSI? Are you referring to the dashboard being flat as a pancake? Ecky thump. Ecky thump. That's, yeah. That is very Yorkshire. Yorkshire tea. They do things proper. I can do a Yorkshire accent. Meaning water well, did it? I drew a water well. Yeah. Well, that's probably not a bad thing. There you go. So a 3-bar reversal is basically a water well. So basically, where's it going to go? Down. Yeah. I've created a new strategy. It's called the water well strategy. I'm going to build an EA that trades the water well strategy. And I'm going to call it the water well strategy. And it will be a picture of a well on the icon. And the EA will basically trade 3-bar reversals. There we go. There you go. There's an idea if anybody wants to go and make that. Got a feeling this yen's going to go today. We'll see. Okay, so there's your target. Mumo, was it Mumo said about that? Whoever said that about the target there? Thought feeder. There you go. That's why we wait for candle close. That's not holding. Right, moving target down to yesterday's low. This is coming down like a steam train, freight train, bullet train, coming down fast. So I'm just going to move target down. Yesterday's low. If this candle is like this in a minute, I'm moving further. I'm not getting in the way of this today. The market is selling off hard. So that's 4 hours straight down. What a shame we got hedged on that today. That hedge there, so my range size was 180. Minimum range is 174. If that had come out at 170 today, I'd have taken the 5-minute ORB in exactly the same way as I did on the Footsie today, and that would have been a double 4R. Well, I'm assuming that's going to get down, but nice big double win today. 5-minute ORB. That's the original strategy, was the 5-minute ORB. Then it converted into pre-market ranges, then 15-minute ranges and all sorts of stuff. But that is the original strategy, the 5-minute opening range break. But the pre-market works so well when it works. It all works, doesn't it? Everything works when you pick the right one. That's a Yorkshire lad here. Yorkshire. done proper. We only got to 96 people again. We got down to 82. That's not good, is it? So close every day. I'm getting to like almost 100 every day. Then everybody peters off when I start waffling. And it's basically all the signal searchers, everyone coming in looking for signals, realise I'm not a signal service, and then they go, I don't want to learn how to trade. I want someone to tell me to press the button. Dax at 3.5R, yeah. So there's your 4R. So this could obviously be the level. Yeah, I mean, levels aren't, where's my drawing tool gone? Levels aren't the same all the time. That's going to draw in a horrible colour. Yeah, nasty blue. So, I mean, that level there really, I would say, is invalid now. We've pushed all the way down. If you take somewhere around that low, and, we're through it, aren't we? So, but obviously, elastic band theory, if you're trading a Bollinger Band right now, you are way outside the Bollinger Band. So, there's a good chance of a mean reversion pullback on this, probably back up into one of those propulsion gaps for another leg down. So this could be a good exit. However, we are on the back of 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40 minutes of nothing but selling. You really want to get out. I mean, this candle's still got 2 minutes on it. If this closes bearish, you're going to regret that exit because this thing could drop straight down to ADR today. But those are the decisions you've got to make. You're much better off waiting. I would rather take a hedge loss of $150 and have a go at a bounce at a level I know for a fact there's going to be limit orders sitting at, which is yesterday's low. So I'd much rather either take the hedge loss or wait than try and get out here and then have to deal with a hedge, double lock in, twice as much loss. It's just so much simpler just to go, yeah, whatever. I've got $200 running there. I'm up $50 regardless today, whatever happens, which is not enough. But so, yeah, I mean, tricky exit. What I would like to see is that kind of move and then come back down and test yesterday's low. If we can put in market structure like that, yeah, we're going to get the bounce there anyway. So why not just wait for it to get there? It's a much safer way. You got all day. Yeah, we haven't got to be out this morning. We can get out at some point. Give it some time. Good moves on the yen. Aussie dollar yen. Hooray. We've finished the set. So we've now got Aussie dollar yen. It's like collecting cards, Pokemon cards. I've got all the yens. So there we go. I've even got a swapsy look on the US dollar yen. If anybody wants a US dollar yen, I've got 2 of those. So Aussie dollar yen ADR. Again, be wary about getting in front of these today. We've had potential news on interest rate increase from Japanese. So Kanda, we will deal with market appropriately. Oh, fighting talk as well, look. Bank of Japan watchers see rising case for April rate hike. April. That's why we're rallying again. So market is looking at potential April. So February, March, you've got 2 more months. For that yen strength, look. Whoop. So yeah, good. I think we'll get continuation. So hold on to your yens if you can, as long as you can. I've only got the US dollar yen on and pound yen, but just look for a logical area. We're 125 already on US dollar yen. That propulsion gap, that is the obvious bounce point to me to the downside. And then obviously potentially just coming back down to retest those lows. It's not going to be in a straight line though. It's going to take a while to get down there. We're talking days stroke week to retest that propulsion, just gradually come back down. Same with pound yen. So I'm taking off the aggressive and that one there, and I'll be using that profit just to knock some of that off on the way down into this propulsion move down here. I've got AJ, GJ, UJ. Yeah, pretty much the same as me. I've got AJ, UJ there. I've got GJ there. Oh, I had 2 yens. No, only one then. One there. And I've got UJ and GJ there. You should have the same as me, Astro, if you're using the market reversal alerts EA and any of my strategies, because that's what it does. Lunary is out. Oh, all right. Out of what? You're out of the session. Okay, that's it. Fine. See you in the New York session. Yeah. I thought you were out of the DAX. I was going to say, don't get out of the DAX. So, talking 3-bar reversals this morning. This is a potential 3-bar reversal. Bull. Pause. So, if we now go bull, basically sellers running out of steam. They've tried to continue their move. They failed. Buyers have tried to push back. They have failed. So basically, sellers have lost control. Have we got enough buying power now to get a pullback started? This is what this candle will tell us. So we've got 1.5 minutes left. And this candle will tell us if we've got the potential for the bulls to take control. But obviously, they're only going to take back a portion of that move, which will be basically the sellers exiting their positions and flipping long. There will be a point where they will add back into those positions if they want to continue the rally going for the day. So watching that candle. So if that puts a 3-bar reversal in, that will signal me probably maybe to take that off, because all that's going to happen is that's going to pull back. But if that's going to put a second leg in, these are the decisions. This is the discretionary part of trading. Am I happy with my $200, or do I fancy risking it today to go a little bit further? And that ultimately is usually decided by my P&L. How's the month going? This month, not great on this account. So I got the opportunity to bank 1% today. And then obviously, depending on what happens with those hedges, another 1% potentially off the DAX. Obviously, if you get a double pause, as we have there, look. So again, there's another doji gone in there, look. I mean, it's more of a spinning top, but you know, there is no. Yes, there was a few more buy orders in it than sell orders, but that's not a reversal, is it? That is another indecision candle. So that's not an exit for me. That's an inside bar, look. Yeah. So we paused, and there was not enough buyers or sellers to even break the high or low of that previous candle. That's absolutely no directional bias whatsoever. So now you're now looking for a break of the inside bar or the outside bar to give you continuation direction. One way or the other. Or we're looking for a 2IB setup, which basically would be an inside bar and an inside bar, which is a 2 inside bar setup. That is a symmetrical triangle formation on the 1-minute chart, which means the market is contracting. And someone will place a large order, which will get jumped on and will be off from there. Yen still rallying. So we got a nice reversal out on this New Zealand dollar CAD this morning. Not really gutted, but I mean, it's starting to pull back. So if you look at the market structure on this New Zealand dollar CAD, we looked at this yesterday. Absolutely textbook market structure. High, low, lower high, lower 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 low, and so on and so forth. We've just put in a higher high for the very first time in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days. So this is your first reversal in 6 days. We've put in a higher high. Yep. So now we're looking for a higher low. Market structure shift. So there's your reversal alert. We're looking for the retest, ideally out of propulsion. And then that pullback on that leg underway. Hopefully. But just shy a target on that. I was kind of hoping we were going to get a test of propulsion today, and I was going to exit that one because I've got 5 on this. I was just going to do a partial take profit and a little bit of drawdown control at the top there, but didn't quite get there. So need a 125 ADR push. There's no news today, so I think we might struggle with the CAD or the New Zealand dollar today. The New Zealand dollar, they're not going to want to put a massive amount into the New Zealand today because we've got the CPI figure coming out overnight. So there's no point in taking any big speculative trades long or short when you know that the inflation figure is going to change and potentially that has an impact on interest rates. So we'll wait until after that news. We'll probably get a decent move off that New Zealand dollar overnight tonight. Okay, so new low on the DAX. Still coming down. And we're flagging at the moment on the Footsie. So TP2 on the Footsie is down there. And I'm trailing 2R basically. So we can get a nice sort of market structure in on the way down. We don't pull back more than 2R. I'll have a nice 5R target today. Certainly got the legs to do it. We're approaching 5R, getting close there now. We are pausing though. If you look, I mean, this is obviously a new lower low gone in now. So we have broken that, but we're not outside it, are we? Yeah. So if we get another push, come back, close like that, that's still an indecision. Still no direction. Right, I'm going to leave it there. Excuse me, because I need to get some coding done. Yeah, so basically DAX Hedge, I'm looking at yesterday's low. It is starting to slow down, so we might get a pullback from here. But I'm looking for a continuation move. Hopefully we get it. If not, not much I can do about that. But so we'll see where that goes today. But watch that low. If we break that low, there's a good chance we're going to get exhausted anyway because we'll be beyond ADR and we'll get some kind of pullback on the way down. That's your next stop, which is the previous day's low, 150 ADR. So I doubt we'll get all the way down there in one go. You never know. But and obviously, same principle for the Footsie. Target is 5R, which is yesterday's low. We got a nice continuation move, hopefully starting on the yen. At the moment, we're painting the inside bar, though, on the pullback. So want to see that low break. If we get that low broken, there's a flush basically down to the propulsion gap. So we've got 175 ADR target on board today on the pound yen. If we get enough momentum and the market likes what Ueda said about bringing the interest rate back up, we'll get some strength coming through. But we need to see some follow through. Might have to wait till New York, but because we've run basically into the lows. Look, the market still has a lot of buyers in. So we need to see if that shift, enough of the banks of institutions have shifted now back into bullish yen. We'll get that broken. Once that's broken, we're off. We'll be gone for a good few days, I'd imagine. But we need to get that break. At the moment, we're just stuck in an accumulation. So we'll see where we go. All right, so I'll be back this afternoon at 2:20 for New York. Back tomorrow morning, 7:50 Frankfurt as usual. Hopefully that will close out nicely, that Dax and Footsie, but still looking bearish. Look. So we'll see where we go on that one, and I will look at that obviously in New York. But if you can't make New York, I'll be back tomorrow morning. Anything you need, I'll be in Telegram as usual, so you can always get me in there. Other than that, have a good morning. Hopefully it's profitable, and I will see you guys in the next session.